Every map created before 1750 contains a fatal flaw that killed thousands of sailors. The world's greatest explorers possessed charts showing continents, oceans, and trade routes, yet they were missing something so fundamental that ships would vanish without explanation. This wasn't about sea monsters or uncharted islands. The deadly secret hiding in plain sight on every navigation chart would take centuries to solve, and the race to crack it would become one of history's most desperate scientific pursuits. Ships disappeared with alarming regularity during the age of exploration. Experienced captains with detailed maps would set sail from port, only to drift hopelessly off course. Entire fleets miscalculated their positions by hundreds of miles. The Spanish Armada lost vessels not just to English attacks but to navigational errors. Admiral Sir Cloudesley Shovel's fleet struck rocks off the Scilly Isles in 1707, killing nearly 2,000 men. The cause was always the same. Maps could show latitude but had no reliable way to determine longitude at sea. Latitude was simple to calculate using the sun and stars. Sailors measured the angle of celestial bodies above the horizon, giving them their north-south position. Longitude, however, required knowing the precise time difference between two locations. Without accurate clocks that could withstand ocean voyages, determining east-west position became impossible. Navigators were essentially sailing blind in one dimension, making every ocean crossing a dangerous gamble. The maritime nations of Europe were losing fortunes in ships, cargo, and lives. In 1714, the British Parliament passed the Longitude Act, offering £20,000 to anyone who could solve the problem. This was an astronomical sum, equivalent to millions today. The greatest minds of the era attempted solutions. Astronomers proposed lunar distance methods requiring complex calculations that took hours to complete. Others suggested absurd schemes involving wounded dogs or networks of anchored ships firing cannons at set times. The scientific establishment believed only an astronomical solution would work, dismissing mechanical approaches as impossible. John Harrison was a self-educated carpenter and clockmaker from Yorkshire. He believed he could build a timepiece accurate enough to keep perfect time at sea, despite temperature changes, humidity, and the violent motion of ships. The scientific elite ridiculed this notion. Pendulum clocks of the era lost minutes per day, and no spring-driven mechanism had ever maintained accuracy under such conditions. Harrison spent decades building increasingly sophisticated marine chronometers, each iteration solving problems the previous version revealed. Harrison's fourth chronometer, H4, was a masterpiece of engineering. Completed in 1759, it resembled a large pocket watch rather than a traditional clock. During a voyage to Jamaica in 1761, H4 lost only 5 seconds over 81 days at sea. This level of accuracy was revolutionary, allowing longitude to be calculated within a few miles. The device used temperature-compensating mechanisms, special lubricants, and innovative escapements that eliminated the effects of motion and climate. It was perhaps the most sophisticated mechanism ever created to that point in history. Despite proving his chronometer worked, Harrison faced decades of resistance from the Board of Longitude. The astronomical establishment, led by Neville Maskelyne, the Astronomer Royal, refused to award him the full prize. They demanded additional tests, changed the rules, and promoted their own lunar distance methods. Harrison was forced to build duplicate devices and endure trial after trial. The board's bias toward astronomical solutions nearly buried the greatest navigational breakthrough in history. At age 80, Harrison appealed directly to King George III. The king, fascinated by clocks and science, personally tested H5 at his private observatory. When it proved accurate, George III was furious at the Board of Longitude's treatment of Harrison. The king demanded Parliament intervene, declaring the board's behavior unjust. In 1773, Parliament awarded Harrison additional funds, though he never received the full original prize. Harrison died 3 years later, vindicated but exhausted by his 40-year struggle. Marine chronometers transformed cartography and navigation within decades. Captain James Cook carried a copy of Harrison's chronometer on his second voyage in 1772, creating the first accurate maps of the Pacific. Suddenly, charts could show precise locations of islands, coastlines, and hazards. The mysterious disappearances of ships dropped dramatically. Global trade expanded as routes became safer and more predictable. The world shrank as navigation evolved from educated guesswork to precise science. Every GPS device and smartphone today descends directly from Harrison's innovation. Modern navigation still relies on precise timekeeping, now using atomic clocks in satellites rather than mechanical chronometers. The global positioning system calculates location by measuring time differences between signals from multiple satellites, the same fundamental principle Harrison proved at sea. His chronometer didn't just solve an 18th century problem, it established the foundation for how humanity navigates the world centuries later. The deadly secret hiding in every pre-1750 map was the absence of reliable longitude. This single missing piece of information cost thousands of lives and countless fortunes. One man's obsessive determination to build an impossible clock changed navigation forever and made modern global civilization possible. If this story of hidden history fascinated you, subscribe for more untold secrets that shaped our world.